Equinox has this go-getter DNA and its high performance, and the brand is built around a lot of those values.
And I think that's where taking the brand DNA and what's special about Equinox and translating it to the world of hospitality, it seems that with hotel properties, you're able to provide an enabling environment for your guests that is consistent with the brand that's been built over 30 years, but have new expressions of it.
If you think about that and you think about designing, if you talk about people who are designing a hotel room or designing a hotel or a club, you think about color of the cushions, layout, how it lighting, but you never think about the time that we spend to make sure that what goes inside the walls, what goes inside the mattresses, how we design the functionality of the air conditioning system so you don't have noise disruptions at night. These are all design elements that are kind of you can't see, smell, or hear, but they will have an impact on how you feel when you wake up in the morning. And so those are elements that are all part of the brand identity and ID, and we spend an enormous amount of time thinking that through. Where I think a lot of other brands brush over it. They want to get a deck out, they want to have a new brand coming, and they spend a few months in the room sitting and writing a deck, and then they kind of try to execute on it. We spend 2+ years literally going through every single detail on how it all works together and how this whole idea of Equinox as a lifestyle brand, not Equinox as a gym and a hotel together in a building, but Equinox as a holistic lifestyle brand that pulls it all together and integrates it in a way that nobody else does.
So, taking sleep as just one element of this, but an integral element, I wonder if we could talk about a package that you've actually put together called the Art and Science of Sleep. So, how you're thinking about this is woven throughout the entire guest experience, but you actually go further than that. There's actually a dedicated package focused on this. I wonder if you could tell our listeners what this involves, and then I'd love to walk through the process of how you thought about developing this, just so that people can hear how much detail goes into providing this.
So I would rather, I mean, I'd rather touch on all the things that, make good sleep happen.
Mhm.
Uh, I think some of it came out of the pandemic, where people would travel and get out of their homes and, staycations, regional travel, where people just needed to rest in an environment where they felt that they would wake up and feel better than anywhere else, and go into an environment that wasn't just pretty and different, but an environment that literally, and when I say scientifically, literally scientifically, us working with sleep scientists to design this room, not just interior designers to make the room look nice. And so the sleep package tipped its hat to the overall integration of elements that include exercise and the club, include what you eat, not only in the restaurant, but how we deliver room service to you, what you find in the private bars, which have about double the amount of items stocked in there than you would find in a regular luxury hotel, like a Peninsula, Four Seasons, or Mandarin. And then, of course, the quality of the sleep. And, if you go through our website, you will find people being blown away by the quality of sleep they have had. We've had a few journalists that actually came in with the devices to measure the quality of their sleep and compare them to sleep back home. And I remember reading one of them, and it was a 30% increase in the quality of the matrix that kind of, just described scientifically the quality of her sleep. And so I think the sleep package was a way of telling people, come and experience this, spend, a little bit of time here and immerse yourself in an environment that is an incredibly supportive environment of you being the best version of yourself.
It feels like such a small thing, maybe for those that haven't put thought into this, but I think for anyone who has had a bad night's sleep can attest to how important sleep is to everything else that we do, right? It's such a foundational thing. And it's also an area where hotels have a unique opportunity to enable this. And I feel like this is such an area to differentiate.
The thing is that, beds have been around forever, and other brands and other companies, bedding companies, have a lot of them have talked about, how the bed looks. It just recently really has come about, the idea of how the bed functions. So going back to my youth, the Swiss have a very different way of making their beds. similar to the Germans and the Swedes and the Nordic countries. And the way the beds are designed, in general, harder surfaces. Uh, the way they sit on the foundation of the bed in order to have air go through the mattresses so you don't sleep hot. And you've maybe had these experiences where you would go to bed and you wake up 20 minutes into your sleep cycle and you're sweating and you don't know why. Mattresses without glue and metal, and it's all natural materials and it's all handmade. It's separate duvets, and it's literally a scientific layout of this whole sleep environment that we put you in. And I grew up like that. The bedding was a very important piece. I went through a period of my life where I was proud. I would carry a label on my chest where I would proudly proclaim that I could make it on 4 hours of sleep a day. And the people really thought that was an achievement. People don't realize that your brain is actually more active when you sleep than when you're awake, and that the whole regen of energy and through the sleep cycle is crucial to your success.
What
And so
changed that for you personally? Because that was a common narrative, and it sounds like you've done a lot of learning on this. But do you remember the moment where you changed your thinking on this?
I think the pandemic forced some of that on me. Like some other things that we were forced to face during the pandemic, and then found out maybe this is actually not so bad. This is actually better. And because you had a different cycle of, I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, go to the gym. I was in the gym at 4:35. I had my hour and a half every day. So I switched that around. It readjusted again because schedules get busier, and then you go back to the office. And but I think that was very conscious about how I felt actually when I got 7 hours of sleep at night, or 7.5 versus 4.5 or 5. And so I think part of our brand DNA is also discipline, and disciplining a lifestyle around sleeping, regen, and eating. And I mean, you look like you're a fit guy. I don't know what you do, but you know that like everything else in life, if you want to be good at it, you've got to do it every day. And so if you follow a strict routine and you're disciplined about how you sleep and how you eat, you will feel better. And so I think part of the brand DNA is it's a disciplined brand. It's a tight brand. So I think we're proud of that.
And as I think about the brand, it's more than just marketing. It's the way that you operate. It is the things that you offer. Of course, so many people love your clubs around the world, and in I think I'm just thinking about kind of the guest experience for a moment. And I'm also thinking about the history of lifestyle hospitality. I think for a long time, people from Bill Kimpton to Ian Traeger used restaurants as a way to mix locals and visitors together. I feel you represent a new wave of lifestyle hospitality that is focused on wellness, on fitness. It's that point of view where, as you mentioned, some people are going to love, maybe some people won't love, but that affinity can draw both people who are traveling and people in the communities together. I wonder if you could speak a little bit more to the power of using your clubs as a connector between guests and
Mhm.
locals.
So think of our 4 pillars that are brand pillars. So it's movement, nutrition, regen, and community. When you travel in the luxury sphere of hotels, a lot of the traditional luxury hotels focus on hospitality through rooms and the guest and the room experience. As you mentioned, the lifestyle hotels started vibing it up a bit by bringing bars, rooftops, and kind of more of a crowd into the space. Um, we do that too. We have a very vibrant restaurant bar scene here at Equinox, New York. And from fireplace to water features to open terraces, it's there. But if you think about 5,500 members in one club in New York, it's 60,000 square feet as an integrated experience with your hotel. When you go in that club and work out, it's not two guys on a treadmill, under bad lighting in the basement. We have 1,500 people in and out of the doors on a daily basis that spend on an average 2.5 hours in the club. Trust me, that's a local community. And clubs, by definition, cater to local communities. Hotels, by definition, do not cater to local communities. And so when you travel, I'm sure you have seen that with yourself, when you go in and you see a concierge or a front desk clerk after you arrive in a hotel and say, what is a good local restaurant that I could go to? Because you want to hang out with the locals. When you go to our club, you hang out with the locals, trust me. And by definition, it's a vibrant community that shares values with you because that's what people love when they come here. A lot of our guests are not members, but they subscribe to the lifestyle. The amount of people in our hotel that go and actually frequent the club is probably 3.5 times more than in other luxury hotels. Okay, so there's a definite lifestyle choice here that resonates deeply with our guests.
What's funny, earlier you mentioned discipline is being a key part of kind of this life, but it's not all serious. I think you've spoken many times before about having fun in the process, and I think as somebody who, as member guest, experienced many different elements of the Equinox brand, I think there's a lot of just fun in the mix as well. And I think you mentioned before on somewhere else around kind of this notion of eating and drinking is a lot to do with the social interaction and the fun isn't. So it feels like fun is key. I guess my question for you is, how do you think about having fun in hospitality, and how does that manifest in the brand now?
So, first of all, for me personally, humor is an incredibly important part in life, and maybe it's a coping mechanism for a lot of people. But I think you can call it humor, joy, fun, enjoy, whatever you want to use as a word, uh, not to be confused with happiness, which is a whole different subject, maybe a deeper subject. But I think having fun and being able to laugh as you go along is crucial to be successful. In my world, I have always said to my teams, take your work seriously, don't take yourself seriously. And I'm sure you have run into people that don't take their work seriously, but they take themselves very seriously. That is not who we are. So then if you create this environment where people can laugh, at each other, at themselves, and be joyful, that it relaxes people. And I always find if I get people to relax through that, they work harder. They're more committed. They want to be part of this. We encourage people to find. And I think all of my team, they're all into fitness in some way, whatever the fitness piece is. They're all very much involved, and we always encourage them to keep that schedule alive and keep going. And you know, if you go at 11:30 in the morning, if you have a hole in the schedule and you go and work out for an hour and a half, and you work longer in the evening, I'm totally okay with that. But it creates kind of this passionate, high energy environment where people all feel like they're here, with a similar goal in mind, and they subscribe to the lifestyle. They live the lifestyle in many ways. And so I think you'll find a level of joy and passion in our teams that is very alive.
You've described many elements of what go into this. I guess before we move on, is there anything else that comes to mind in terms of how you're fostering community and belonging among both your guests and your members?
Y- Yes, because when we talked about the club and the over 1,000 people coming in and out of the doors, in retail they would call that creating footfall. It energizes neighborhoods when you have something like when you have a club like this, because you have an active experience. So I remember my dad, who was a heavy smoker drinker, like he loved his whiskey and his cigars, and at one point he must have been in his 40s, because I thought he was an old man then, but he was in his 40s, and the doctor told him he should go jogging in the forest behind our house in Zurich. He hated it with a passion. I trust me, when you go to our front door and you look at people going to the club from morning to night, it's probably their favorite hour in the day or 2 hours in the day. I love working out. I love the process of working out. I always have. So I think if you take that and then you translate after a 2.5 hour club visit, a lot of them change and end up in the bar and the restaurant here. And so our restaurant, Electric Lemon, is alive with a vibrant clientele, a lot of them club members that go out. And in the beginning, people would ask us, does this mean because you're in wellness that, that's vegan and no alcohol? I said, no. I said, we're not telling anybody what they should eat or drink. There's a choice if you want to eat vegan or vegetarian, of course. It's, again, a thoughtful menu. But trust me, the bar scene is vibrant and it's alive. And I think there's a happy on-off, high-low. that people do enjoy as they experience Equinox as a lifestyle brand. And I think that's kind of the key for us as we move forward.
Where do you see opportunities for growth? I think if you think about Equinox as a lifestyle brand, it feels like it could unlock so much.
Everywhere. And we have conversations around the world. We opened our first hotel here. We have signed a whole bunch of deals this year. We're talking about a whole bunch of other opportunities. If you think about New York, if you have seen the hotel here, I don't know if you've been in it and experienced it. This is kind of our urban North American model as far as size and club size, and but then you think, okay, what about a resort, Equinox Resort? So I was having lunch with my son today, who was an avid cyclist, like it's insane cycling. And we're talking about my visit to Amala and that part of Saudi Arabia, and uh, you look at the landscape, and now I'm talking about the part of the country which is across from Egypt, and it's desert, mountains on one side. It's some of the most beautiful ocean, and I've opened hotels in the Maldives. This is as beautiful, crystal clear waters, and we're growing corals, and we have turtle farms growing young turtles that'll go in. And I mean, it's untouched nature, and it's probably, I can imagine the California coast looking like that 400 years ago. It's beautiful. And so you go back into these mountains, trekking, hiking with qualified instructors and people that come out of wellness fitness. So the experiences are going to be spectacular. And so in the resort environment, we were looking at a Cabo, Mexico resort and building stuff into the hillside. And it was just endless, kind of the programming opportunities around a brand that has 30 years of success in fitness.
What strategies do you use to keep Equinox at the forefront of luxury, wellness, lifestyle? It feels like you're thinking about and working on a lot. How do you stay ahead of things?
So we're obsessed. We're kind of obsessive people, and we're very detail oriented, and we all live the lifestyle. So our head of spa, our food and beverage, our guest service guys, when they travel, when they eat out, we all live the lifestyle our guest either lives or aspires to live. A lot of brands that create experiences, the people that create experiences, they really don't know how their guest lives actually. And so it's very difficult to make something for people you don't know or you don't live the lifestyle. So all of us do. And so we constantly question and torture ourselves as we design, and we're working on 6, 7 resorts and hotels right now. When they open, it's going to be in 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What is the world going to look like then? What is AI going to be like then? So we're trying to design experiences hotels, not for now, but for 3, 4 years from now. And so we question ourselves constantly, and we challenge ourselves constantly, nonstop, on how we could make it better. What's the next level? When we opened this hotel, if you think of it, Josiah, in the luxury industry, nobody really had invented anything that was different. I mean, there were versions of it. Maybe some did better than others or different than others. And bit better service, nicer design, better so tweaks. On the lifestyle side, it was the same thing, bigger rooftops, so 20 years of lifestyle hotels. So I think we came up with something that is truly a lifestyle luxury experience that was different. And this mix of wellness and how we brought it into hospitality and our ability to deliver, and that's the key. How can you deliver at a very high level on a daily basis? Because we're in theater. We're in the theater business, if you think of it. And how can you have your employees wanting to engage with the guest in a way that is special and memorable? So, and we do that, and the team that we have is world class at that. And I think I'd stand up next to anybody in the world with our service delivery. I don't know if you've seen a few months ago now we were voted 50 best hotels in the world. And if you look at the list of the others, they're all established, old luxury brands that kind of, and here we are, a 2-year old brand in Hudson Yards. And I think it's because innovation, innovativeness, cutting edge, and consistent service delivery to our guests that has been spectacular.